Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to study about the growth of chara. Growth of chara. So firstly we will try to draw a structure of chara. This is a substrate and these are the rhizoids, and this is the plant body of chara. These are the nodes on the plant body of the chara, and the distance between two nodes is known as internode. So this is also a node. This is the apical portion of a branch. So basically it is the diagram or a plant body of a chara. These are known as rhizoids. These are known as nodes, and this is a node and this is also a node, and the distance between two nodes is known as internodes. And here is a point where the apical cell is present. This cell is known as apical cell, but our topic is how the chara plant body can grow. So a dome shaped cell is present at the apical region of a chara. So we can write a dome shaped cell at apex of chara plant body. So we will try to draw here. This is a dome shaped cell which is present at this apical region of the chara plant body. So this cell have two sides. This is an anterior side, and this is the side which is known as posterior side. So this cell divide from posterior side but not from anterior side. So we can write the dome shaped cell which is an apical cell divide at apical side and produce two cells. So how it can divide and produce two cells? Let's see. It divide and produce two cells like this. These are the two cells which are formed as a division of this dome cell, which is dome shaped cell which is present at the apical region. So these are two cells. One cell is known as upper cell because it is present above this cell, and this cell is known as lower cell. So these are two cells. But keep in mind, lower cell will never divide, but it will elongate it and modify to make an internode. So the division in this cell will not occur. Remaining one cell is this cell which is basically upper cell. This cell will undergo the division. So this cell divide and produce more cells. So we can write the upper cell divide and produce two or more cells which are present at the center. So that's why known as central cells. It means two or more cells which are present at the center are known as central cells. But some cells will grow and produce as a result of this upper cell like this. These are the cells, but these are not present at the center. These are present at the peripheral region. So that's why such type of cells which are present on the periphery are also known as peripheral cells. Peripheral cells. So these are peripheral cells. But keep in mind, this is a lower cell. This cell will not divide, but it can elongate. This cell will elongate and produce an internode. So basically it is a internodal cell. Internode. This internode is formed as a result of division of this lower cell, which will not divide, but upper cell divide and produce two or more some central cells and some peripheral cells. But keep in mind, the number of these peripheral cells may be 16 to 20 cells. It means the peripheral cells are 16 to 20 cells. So number of peripheral cells is from 16 to 20 cells. These are present peripheral region, so that's why these cells are known as peripheral cells. These cells again divide and produce another layer of cells. And these are the cells which are present on the front region or an upper region. These upper cells will produce the apex of leaf. So you know these are the nodes and these are the leaves. And these cells which are produced as a result of division of peripheral cell, some cell will produce the apical region of this leaf body in the body of a chara. And this may grow up to 3 to 8 cells. It means these are 3 to 8 cells. And these 3 to 8 cells may form a leaf. But keep in mind, these cells which are present on the peripheral region make 3 branches, 3 structures. Which type of 3 structures are formed as a result of division of these peripheral cells? Number 1, these cells divide and produce up to 3 to 8 cells. Divide and produce 3 to 8 cells, and then after these cells their growth will stop. So that's why these cells make up branches of limited growth. They make the branches of limited growth. Number 2, which type of another branches are produced from these peripheral cells? These cells, some of these cells grow and stop their division, so that's why such type of branches are known as the branches of limited growth. But some of these cells will grow and never stop their growth. And the cells which never stop their growth, they form up branches which are the branches of unlimited growth. Branches of unlimited growth. So, 2 structures are formed as a result of division of these peripheral cells. Third structure, which is formed, some cells out of these cells will divide and produce small spine-like structures. Small spine-like structures. These spine-like structures which are formed as a result of division of these peripheral cells are known as stipules. Stipules. So 3 structures are formed as a result of division of such type of peripheral cells. And these peripheral cells are formed as a result of division of upper cell, but lower cell will not divide and produce a elongated structure which is known as internode, which is present between two nodes. So some cells out of these peripheral cells grow downward like this. These are the peripheral cells grow downward up to half of this cell. Half of this cell. What is the name of this cell? This is basically an internodal cell. This is the internode, and this whole cell is known as internodal cell. So some of these cells will grow up to half of this internodal cell and form a cortex of internode. So basically this is a cortex of internode, and half cortex of this internodal cell is formed from the upper node, and half, here is also a node, and half the length of this internodal cell is covered by a lower nodal cells. These cells elongate and they complete the cortex of the internode. So this was all about the growth of chara, how the growth in the chara cells will occur. I repeat it. The apical cell which is present at the top of the chara, which are dome shaped like this, they divide and produce two cells. One is the upper cell and the second is the lower cell. The division will occur at the upper cell. Lower cell will not divide. It only can elongate and produce a structure which is known as internode. Upper cell will divide and produce 2 or more central cells and 16 to 20 peripheral cells. These peripheral cells will divide and produce some cells which basically form the apex of a leaf of a plant. And these apical cells will produce and make a pair of cells. Each cell make a pair of cells. Such type of cells which are present on the peripheral region of this node, these cells make these three structures. The one is the branches of limited growth. When they grow in a limited condition or a 3 to 8, then they will form a branches which are limited. It means the growth of such type of branches is limited. So that's why these branches are known as the branches of limited growth. Some of these cells will grow and produce a branches. The growth of such type of branches will never stop. So that's why such type of branches are known as the branches of unlimited growth. Some of these cells which are peripheral cells, some of these cells differentiated and produce a spine-like structure, and these spine-like structures are known as stipules. But here, this is a lower cell which will not divide, but it can only elongate and produce a internode. What is internode? Internode is basically the point or a distance between two nodes, and this node is composed of only single cell. But keep in mind, it is covered by single layer of cells, and such type of cells are known as cortical cells. And the structure which is formed as a result of formation of these cells, cortical cells, is known as cortex. But half of the cortex is formed from the cells of the upper node, and half of the cortex is formed of the cells of the lower node. So in this way, this cortical layer is formed around the internode. So it was about the growth of chara cells, or a plant body, or a growth of plant body of a chara.